in the inner circle, we have been talking about our beliefs and the impacts that our beliefs and our words and our subconscious mind has on our health and our reality. It's really important to understand the weight of this concept. Without knowing and really understanding what keeps us stuck, healing and growth can become really challenging and really frustrating. But when we unravel sort of this hidden influence, which is our subconscious mind, what's buried in the subconscious mind, we can finally see and unlock our path to healing. And that is why I get so excited about talking about this stuff. Again, bringing the concepts into these lives that are going to shift your health the most. I recently read a statistic that research shows that over 40% of adults this year, since January, will try to change a behavior, significant behavior, whether they're exercising more, changing their diet, they're wanting to make a behavior change so they can get a better outcome in their life. And research shows that over 92% of them will fail. And the reason is because people don't understand what drives their behavior. And so they have this behavior that they know is leading to an outcome in their life that they no longer want, contributing to something they no longer want. So they change the behavior. It doesn't work, you guys. And that's why I'm so excited about what we're talking about today, because when we trace back to the source of what drives our behaviors, that is when we can actually heal and transform and achieve what we're after. Our limiting beliefs are the root cause of why we fail to make changes. The reason why. When we know something is good for us and we don't do it, or why when we know something isn't good for us and we do it, our beliefs in ourselves and our lives determine the majority of our behaviors, and our behaviors create our reality. So many of you know I should be eating healthy because when I eat healthy, my body heals and I feel better. But we don't always do it. Sometimes we sabotage, even when we know those things are best for us. Why? There is a belief buried in the unconscious mind causing this familiar pattern and this behavior. It is absolutely why we stay sick and stuck. It's why so few ever achieve the health and healing thereafter, but not us. We are all over this. So many of you guys are really ready for a new reality. You're ready to be healthier and happier and just feel more freedom and ease in your life. And you realize that in order to do this, you have to upgrade this belief system. And this freedom and healing that you're after, I want every single one of you to know it is absolutely possible. But none of it is possible if we don't dig deeper, uncover these beliefs that reside in our subconscious mind, and change them. One of my absolute favorite quotes, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life and we will call it fate. The reason I love this quote so much is because it encapsulates this profound truth that if we truly want to heal, we have to be aware of the cause behind the outcome in our lives. There's always a cause. All of you make sense. None of you are crazy. You absolutely make sense. So what causes this outcome in our lives? Our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is responsible for over 95% of what we do, of our behaviors. That's what's fueling our behaviors. It is the silent director of our lives, shaping our thoughts, causing our feelings and emotions, leading to our behaviors. And until we have the awareness of this incredibly powerful force in our lives, we can remain powerless to change it and just feel really stuck and frustrated. But when we change it, this is when we can change the patterns in our lives that are no longer serving us. So these beliefs that are buried in our unconscious mind that make up the blueprint for basically everything that's possible in our lives. Think of these beliefs as the blueprint for your life. If they don't align with our goals, we'll find ourselves constantly in conflict with the operating system. Until we become aware of what we weren't, it will continue to run on autopilot. We'll just call it fate. We won't understand why, and we'll remain stuck. It's really important to understand what a belief is when we're doing this work and deconstructing our beliefs. Beliefs are basically statements about reality that we hold as truth. They're often shaped by our parents, our caretakers, our teachers, influential figures in our life. And most of these beliefs are formed early in life, typically before the age of 7. We develop about 95% of what we hold to be truth. And that truth is what we carry into our life, and it influences every single area of our life. These beliefs form the foundation of how we interpret our experiences, how we make decisions, how we view ourselves, how we view the world around us. And the really, really sad part is that so many of these beliefs are not true. And they're causing really undesirable outcomes in our lives. There are some really common limiting beliefs. I want to talk about the most common 5 limiting beliefs so that you can start to explore. Is this me? Is this one of mine? We're going to do an exercise in a little bit, and we are going to peel back the layers. We're going to look into the subconscious mind. We're going to uncover your beliefs that are shaping a pattern, an outcome, a health problem, something in your life that you no longer want. When we're doing this work, I want you to keep in mind these 5 most common limiting beliefs, because a lot of us struggle with these same ones. The first one is, I'm not good enough. A large portion of this population has this deeply imprinted belief, I'm not good enough. And it forms the lens through which they view their life. I want to give you an example of this. We're going to take 2 people with completely different belief systems. We're going to name one, let's call this one Negative Nancy, and the other Happy Kathy. Negative Nancy does not feel like she's enough. She wasn't loved as a kiddo. Everything was conditional. She had to earn her love. She really believes that she's not important. She's not enough. And Happy Kathy, complete opposite. She feels like she's enough. She deserves to be seen and heard, and she's important in the world. And you take these 2 people with completely different belief systems and you put them into the same scenario. They walk into their office, and here comes their boss cruising down the hallway toward them, and he just kind of storms right past them. And Nancy, with her beliefs, immediately believes that he doesn't like me. I'm not important. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. I wanted to tell him about the meeting yesterday. And so she carries this, he doesn't like me, nobody likes me. She carries this self-doubt, this insecurity with her throughout the rest of the day. And this is a really common theme in Nancy's life. Now we have Kathy. She goes into the office, boss comes down the hall, storms past. She thinks nothing of it. She knows she's important. She knows she's enough. He must have been in a hurry. Entirely different reality. And this is the power of these beliefs. And what is so interesting is that we don't have these beliefs written on a t-shirt for us. They're buried in our unconscious mind. And so many of us do not understand that they are the reason that we struggle so much in our lives. They form the lens through which we view every single interaction in our life. And so if we have this deep-seated belief, we're not even aware of, buried in the unconscious mind, that I'm not enough, everything in your life will reflect that truth. Everything in your life will reflect that truth. Okay, so first one is, I'm not good enough. Second one is, I'm not important. Third, mistakes and failures are bad. If I mess up, it's bad. Maybe I won't receive love. Maybe I won't be good enough. If I make a mistake, I'll be rejected. Number 4. And the fifth one, and I think this one is really, really common. What makes me good enough is having others think well of me, or what makes me good enough is achieving things. So those are the 5 most common limiting beliefs. And again, just remember that example of Nancy and Kathy, 2 people with 2 different beliefs creating such a different reality in their life. And we can think about the ripple effect of Nancy's reality, which is, I'm not good enough, he doesn't like me, I'm not important, and she just starts to feel so insecure. And that insecurity causes more thoughts and emotions that lead to the same undesired outcome, whether it's an autoimmune she's struggling with, chronic pain, whatever it is. Our state of being, just what we're going to get into next, creates our reality, our health problems, whether or not we're surviving or thriving. This stuff is beyond powerful. Something I talk a lot about in New You, again, you don't have to have taken it to understand, but something we talk so much about because it's so important in our healing journey to understand that our beliefs create our state of being. And our state of being is comprised of our thoughts and emotions. It is our thoughts and emotions that are creating our biology and our physiology, right? This affects our nervous system, that's our physiology and our biology. Our thoughts and emotions create our state of being, and our state of being is what our body is responding to. This is what your cells are responding to. So when we change the source of our thoughts and emotions, we directly address the cause of our thoughts and emotions that are contributing to us being unwell. Your nervous system is not responding to what you're doing, how you're eating, how you're exercising, whether you're meditating. If it was as simple as what, we would all be healing. We would all just be eating whole foods and doing our breathing exercises and healing. Your body is reflecting to how and why you're doing what you're doing. This is known as your state of being. These are your thoughts and your emotions. This is why, if you want a better health outcome in your life, you're going to have to change your state of being. You're going to have to really look at these thoughts and emotions that are contributing to the outcome in your life that you no longer want. When we think of our state of being, I want to give you a little example. So say you want to lose weight, but you're coming from a place of, I don't like myself. I need to get this weight off in order to, be okay and to look okay. And your entire journey, weight loss journey, is fueled by self-rejection. So you're eating, this caloric deficit, and you're eating salads and chicken, and it's bland, and you just feel deprived, and you're miserable. Your body is going to respond to, it's going to reflect that misery, your state of being, your thoughts and emotions, the why and how you're doing what you're doing. But when you're coming from a different place and you have more uplifting thoughts and emotions, and you come to the same situation and you're wanting to lose weight, but you're motivated by, I like myself and I'm excited about this journey that I'm on, and you're nourishing your body rather than depriving it, that is what your body will reflect. Your body reflects who you're being so much more than what you're doing. If it was as simple as what you were doing, we would all just be doing it and checking it off our list. What moves the needle most in our healing is changing our state of being. And our state of being is made up of our thoughts and emotions. Our thoughts and emotions are caused by our beliefs. That's where they're coming from. So if we want this different result in our life, the ability to heal, feel less overwhelmed, less stressed, healthier, happier, it makes sense that we're going to have to change our thoughts and emotions. And this right here, my friends, is where so many people end up going wrong and getting so stuck and frustrated because they attempt to change their thoughts and emotions instead of understanding where they're coming from and addressing the source, which is what we're doing today. Our thoughts and emotions have such a massive impact on our health because they cause our behavior, and our behavior leads to these outcomes in our life. I want to give you guys a couple examples for those of you that haven't been in New You, for those that you want a little refresher, some tangible examples of just how powerful our thoughts and emotions are and how much they impact our health. So when we have chronic stress, anxiety, persistent stress and anxiety contribute to so many different health issues: high blood pressure, compromised immune system, digestive problems, cardiovascular disease. If we're constantly stressed out and worrying about our health, our finances, our job, relationships, whatever we're stressing out about, we are constantly releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which contribute to almost every single chronic health issue today. Negative emotions and thoughts trigger the body into a state of threat physiology, which causes chronic pain. Same area of the brain that causes physical pain also is activated when we're under stress. So things like fibromyalgia, arthritis, back pain, joint pain, headaches, all of these different areas of pain that we struggle with. So many of them are caused by being stuck in a state of threat physiology. Stress lights up the same area of the brain that causes pain, real physical pain, backaches, headaches, all the different aches and pains that we get. They're a danger signal. Our body's way of trying to tell us that it is in a state of perceived danger, chronic stress, perceived danger. When we spend too much time in a sympathetic dominant nervous system, because of these negative emotions, because of these thoughts, because of the beliefs, think of Nancy, she's just down all the time. She's not enough. And over time, her thoughts and emotions lead to an autoimmune. The immune system goes haywire when we're in a constant state of threat physiology. I want to make sure every single one of you understands this really close connection between your thoughts and your emotions and your physical body. They are so unbelievably connected. My negative thought alone can all of a sudden shift our blood pressure, which leads to increased inflammation. And I mean, there's so many ways in which every thought and emotion we experience shifts our biology. And this is why our body is always reflecting what's happening inside. Our cells are always listening to what we're saying, what we're feeling, and what we're believing. These are just a couple of the reminders. There's so many reminders. There are books on this stuff. One of them is called the Body Keeps Score if you're interested in learning more. These are just a couple reminders that the cause of most of our health problems are our thoughts and emotions. Because when we have different thoughts and emotions and we have a different state of being and we're not stuck in this state of constant threat, our body thrives and it heals. And so many of you here feeling stuck haven't traced back why you're feeling the way that you do until now. So before we jump into this exercise, I want to make sure that every single one of you understands, and I will put this in the members area so you can read this again and really understand this, because if you do, this will change your life forever. When we begin to understand that our thoughts and emotions have such a significant impact on our ability to heal and to thrive, so many of us just want to change our thoughts and emotions. We want to think and feel better. And so we try to change our thoughts and emotions by changing the way we think and changing how we feel. And so many of us have experienced this, trying to be happier, trying to be more positive, only to find ourselves reverting back to those familiar patterns of negative thoughts and emotions that fuel those familiar and destructive behaviors that lead to the same undesired outcome. And this cycle can be really hard to break, especially when you're dealing with chronic health challenges. Another reason that so many of us struggle to make these positive changes is because we're so focused on changing our behaviors. And this is why a lot of people find me, Kate, I'm doing everything. I'm eating whole foods. I removed inflammatory foods. I'm supplementing. I've done all these gut healing and hormone balancing protocols and regimens. I'm exercising. I'm meditating. I'm breathing. I'm using my sauna. I'm making all of these positive changes. I'm changing all of these behaviors in my life. But I keep finding myself unwell, not able to stay motivated, not able to stay on track, or it's just not working. And the reason why is because they don't understand that just changing a behavior doesn't create lasting change. We have to, again, understand what's fueling these behaviors. And this takes some time. This takes some exploring. It takes a lot of awareness. But until you do this work, I just want you to know that if you're feeling frustrated, it's because you're still fighting against the same operating system that has caused what you're trying so hard to overcome. If you understand this concept that I'm about to share, it will change your life forever. Your beliefs shape your perception of the world and yourself. They influence every area of your life, how you interpret every event and situation in your life. So we have our beliefs, and based on our beliefs, we have these thoughts about ourselves, others, and the world around us. And then these thoughts can be either positive or negative or neutral. So we have these beliefs that create our thoughts. And then our thoughts trigger our emotions and feelings. And these emotions can range from being happy, excited, sad, anxious, angry. We've all experienced a range of emotions. And these emotions, how we feel, drives our behavior. They're the cause of why we do what we do. So how we feel influences the choices we make and the action that we take in response to the events in our lives. So understanding this process will allow you to recognize the role that the beliefs in your life are playing in shaping your thoughts, your feelings and emotions, and driving your behaviors. And by addressing and challenging these beliefs, you can change the entire sequence, leading to an entirely different outcome. I know this is a bit repetitive, but this is the teacher in me so badly wanting you to understand this because it's so unbelievably transformational. Your beliefs cause your thoughts. Your thoughts cause how you feel, your emotions, and how you feel and your emotions drive your behavior, and your behavior leads to your outcome, undesired health issues, unhappiness. Understanding the sequence will allow you to really get to the source. Most of the beliefs that are fueling our thoughts and emotions, again, are buried deep in the subconscious. Most of them are not even true. And it's so fun to do this work and dismantle them, because we finally go, well, no wonder I have been feeling this way for so long. I've been believing this. You didn't even know it was there until you start doing this work and questioning, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? So let's dive into the exercise. We're going to do this exercise to help you all uncover and identify these beliefs, these patterns that are leading to the outcome in your life. But I want to start by giving you guys some examples of how this work has changed my life, just so you can truly understand when you're starting to dive into the exercise. You could understand the power of this work, and maybe as you're reflecting, this will help give you a little bit of direction as to just what you're looking for in this exercise. So when we think about understanding why we end up feeling the way we do, why we end up getting the outcome, the result in our life that we do, we take some time to reflect on why we do it, which is what we're going to do in a minute. This is something I've done quite a bit of over the last 10 years, and something that has shifted my health drastically. And I want to share with you 2 limiting beliefs that I've uncovered, 2 of many, let me tell you. And again, these beliefs are things that I picked up as a kiddo and held as truth and operated according to my whole life, creating so much stress, so much negativity, so much nervous system dysregulation, until I was able to actually identify these things. Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life, and we will call it fate. One of my favorite quotes. So I want to share with you 2 beliefs. The first one: you do not play until all your work is done. I know exactly where this one came from. My lovely father, who meant well, who's very hardworking, and this was just a belief in our family. There's no play, there's no time for fun until your work is done. And this belief in my life led to constant overwhelm and feeling like I had to earn rest, which led to total burnout at times, overachieving, overworking myself, and completely disconnecting from my body's signals that were begging me for a break. That's just one example of one belief. Another example: there's never enough time in the day. And because for so long I wasn't aware of this belief, it led to packing my day full of to-do lists, forcing more into my already busy schedule, and always feeling like I needed to get more done. No matter how much I got done, it was never enough, which again led to constant feelings of stress and overwhelm and frustration. And it felt like every single thing on my to-do list was urgent, right? Because there's this belief that there's not enough time in the day. And I could never understand why I felt like I was just rushing through every single day, creating so much stress and chaos in my life, and just feeling exhausted and depleted and worn down. So this is just an example of 2 beliefs that led to so much stress and suffering within my life. We have to remember that our stress is the #1 contributor of our health issues and of our unhappiness. This is why this work is so unbelievably powerful, because when we get to identify these beliefs and peel back the layers, now that I'm aware of this belief, I can totally dismantle it. I no longer have to run off of that same outdated, dysfunctional belief that was making me sick and miserable. All right, we're going to jump into your life, and we're going to jump into your subconscious. I want everyone here to get something to write with. You can also, if you're on your computers, obviously you can pull up a Word document, just something to either type with or write with. And once you have that, I want you to get comfortable. I want you to take 3 big, deep breaths. Inhale deeply, nice, long, slow exhale, just relaxing your body and releasing all the stress and tension. Now I want you to reflect on an area of your life where you are experiencing a significant struggle or where you feel stuck. Something you'd like to change, a significant struggle or an area of your life that you feel stuck. This could be related to your health, your relationships, your finances, career, personal development, any aspect of your life. Maybe it's the reason you joined the inner circle. Write it down, specific area of struggle. I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to identify one in case it's not right there. All right, so we've got this struggle. And again, you might have multiple struggles. Today, we're just going to pick one. Now we're going to identify the patterns, the thoughts and emotions and behaviors that have contributed to the challenge that you've identified. These could be recurring patterns or habits that you've noticed that are keeping you stuck. I want you to write down anything that you do that is contributing to this struggle that you've identified. Write it down. What are the thoughts that are contributing to this struggle? What are the behaviors? What are you doing that is contributing to this struggle? And just take a minute to write it down. And I see somebody in the comments, if you're blanking, this is okay. I'm going to be sending this to you. And again, this is a template you can use over and over again. Really powerful. So just don't let this stress you out. You can come back to this. We've identified this struggle. We're writing down the thoughts and the patterns, the emotions, the behaviors that are contributing to this struggle. Really starting to observe our patterns. Now, we're going to explore why you engage in these patterns. I want you to ask yourself, why do I do these things? Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? Why do I behave this way? Anytime we ask why we do something, we will reveal our underlying beliefs. Anytime we ask why we're doing something, it will reveal our underlying beliefs. Think about why. Why do I do this? Okay, now we're going to take a second to reflect on the beliefs that you hold about yourself, your abilities, situation you're facing that is influencing these patterns, these thoughts, these emotions, and these behaviors. What are the beliefs that are causing you to do what you do? This might come to you right now. It might take a week to reflect on. It might pop up tomorrow morning. Don't force it. We're exploring the origins of this belief. Okay, so I'm hoping some of you are writing those beliefs down. I'm not worth it. I'm too busy to do that. Write them down. All right, now we're going to write down a new, more empowering belief. What is the belief that will allow you to change why you do what you do? For me, in my example, there is enough time in my day. I don't need to rush through my days. Or in the case of Nancy, our example we used, I am enough. And no amount of achieving or anything that I do will change that. Write down the more empowering belief, the belief that you'll need to install in order to lead to new behaviors and new outcomes. All right, this next step is something that you're going to do a little bit later. You'll find out why. We're going to install these new beliefs into the subconscious mind using affirmations to reinforce this new belief. Research shows that affirmations are one of the most powerful ways to install these new belief systems. Research also shows that the best time to do this, when the brain is most receptive to these changes, is when when the brain is in a specific brain wave, and it's called the theta state. And this occurs right before we fall asleep and right when we wake up. This is when the brain moves into this theta state where it is highly suggestible to these new installs. And during this time, the subconscious mind is more open to suggestion, which makes it the perfect time to repeat these affirmations and imprint them into the subconscious mind. So if you were able to kind of stay with me through the exercise, you identified your struggle, things contributing, why you're doing it, the belief that caused, you've identified the belief, and now we've countered with the new belief. Over the next 30 days, I want you to practice installing this new belief, repeating this affirmation 5 or 10 times to yourself every night when you're falling asleep, right before you fall asleep, repeating it over and over again. And if you remember, again, first thing in the morning, 5 or 10 times, repeating this new belief. Consistency and repetition are the key to cementing these new beliefs and creating lasting change. And if we stay really dedicated to this work and we're persistent and we keep practicing, you can shift your entire belief system and get rid of the patterns that are not serving you. And this is what paves the way for so much healing and growth and transformation. So again, if you weren't able to follow, you will have access to all of this. I'm going to give you this template. It's really important to understand that this is not work that we just do one time and our entire life changes. This is stuff we have to continually practice. It might take a week for you to identify this pattern that you want to change. Gosh, I always feel so insecure. Why? Start writing down these patterns, these areas of stuckness, these areas of suffering. Start writing down. And then start asking yourself, what are the emotions, the behaviors, the thoughts that are contributing to this, and why? Again, every time you ask why, you're going to be able to uncover a belief that is fueling the entire situation. To summarize this work, it's all about identifying the outcomes that you no longer want. And then asking yourself why. Why do I partake in this behavior that is contributing to this outcome I no longer want? Tracing that back to the belief that caused them. It is so simple, my friends, but it is beyond powerful. For me, after having identified those beliefs, if I find myself getting into a pattern of packing stuff in, just feeling constantly overwhelmed, I immediately know why. and I can shut it down just like that. But without the awareness that that belief was causing all of that chaos in my life was just chaotic. My nervous system was whacked out, and my health and my happiness were suffering. But just having the awareness of taking the time to reflect. What is the outcome I don't like? What's contributing to it? Why am I doing it? What's the belief driving the thought, creating my feelings, which drive my behavior? So unbelievably powerful. And I think anytime we talk about the subconscious mind, people get like, whoa, how do we do this? And is there like a machine that we hook up to and then it stimulates? No, my friends, it's not that complicated. This work is very simple, but it takes practice. Again, to rewire the subconscious, you're going to have to be persistent. We can't do this exercise once and say, I got it. I am enough. I'm enough. You're going to have to continue to repeat that again before bed, first thing in the morning, installing this new belief system. And with the awareness of the old pattern and the continual input with the new over time, you're going to feel absolutely amazing, and you're going to see things shifting in your life. You're going to feel happier, healthier, and less stressed. Almost all of our suffering is created by our thought. Almost all of our suffering is created by our thoughts. Where do our thoughts come from? Our beliefs. Do not underestimate the power of this work. Might not feel like you made immediate progress. It is going to require consistent effort and repetition, and gradually over time, you're going to feel these shifts, this progress. Because when you change what you believe, you fundamentally alter how you perceive yourself and the world around you. And this shift is unbelievably powerful and far-reaching, impacting every single area of your life.